Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you for your time today. I'm Derek Goreski, a systems engineer with Palo Alto Networks, and today we're going to talk about phishing and credential theft prevention. Very quickly, though, for the folks who might not have chatted with Palo Alto before, I just have a handful of slides that I'll summarize at a high level what we'll be talking about today and just showing in a very brief demo. So at a high level, the Palo Alto platform really consists of course, our well-known NGFW platforms, and they come in a variety of different formats, and that's including, but not limited to, the hardware PA series, software virtual machine or VM series, and the CN series on the container side of our portfolio as well, and also include Prisma Access, which is our cloud-based SASE solution. And as you can see, this is truly a comprehensive platform that Palo Alto has built and continue to innovate every year over the past few years. And we'll talk specifically about a couple of underlying technologies that are used in the demo today that I'll show really a phishing campaign and how we Palo Alto prevent credential theft using our platform. So the underlying software on all Palo Alto Networks devices, regardless the form factor, is PAN-OS. And we built specific key technologies into PAN-OS natively, starting with App ID, then User ID, et cetera, and gradually added more to that arsenal over the years. And then really, when used together as a platform, really we're providing comprehensive visibility and control of the applications in use, as well as the users and devices that can access them across all locations, all clouds, all the time. And that's really to give you peace of mind of that you're truly defending your organization from all angles, all adversaries, known and unknown threats, encrypted or otherwise, in line and in real time. And you can be rest assured that nobody else does this like Palo Alto Networks does. And that's largely due to performance limitations with their architecture and generally a lack of innovation in their platform. So we've been doing this and doing it this way for quite a few years, for many years actually, and nobody has really been able to come close to catching up in that amount of time. So doubling down just on one specific technology, and that we call user identity and or user ID. And that's really an important piece of the demo that we'll be showing today. And competitors such as the blue guys that we won't talk about charge extra for it. And really, they actually require a dedicated product installation, dedicated people to run that product. And what we do at Palo Alto Networks is we build it natively into PAN-OS. We integrate with the best in the industry from an ecosystem partner perspective, as you can see on some of the different ones on the screen, and really can achieve this in a few different ways, all the way from Active Directory or LDAP integration to syslog monitoring to using our Global Protect platform, as well as integrating with other vendors' network access control systems or NAC systems for short. And we do also have a new entry into our platform called Cloud Identity Engine, or CIE. And that's really a great added bonus for managing all of this in the cloud and doing cloud identity management, which we can actually show you in a separate demo. And it definitely deserves its own totally separate session. But it's really great to limit the exponential configuration compounding effect that comes with having multiple IDPs and SAML authentication methods, et cetera. So although having user identity integrated into our platform is cool, it's really more about what you can actually do with this information as a customer. So today I'll show you one example of what we can do with user identity whilst inspecting the traffic at layer 7. And that is really ensuring our users don't fall victim to phishing attacks or credential theft, which is still the #1 way an attacker gains access to a company's environment today. So the second underlying technology that we'll talk about is URL filtering, and now dubbed advanced URL filtering due to our inline machine learning capabilities. But this was really, again, a fundamental technology that we first built with our NGFWs that was natively built into the platform from the start. And really, with this technology, we go way beyond relying on traditional URL filtering databases And that's resulting in preventions, not just detections of both known and unknown threats in real time, inline. And we're talking things like phishing, exploit landing pages, command and control, social engineering, and what we'll talk about today and next, and that is credential theft. Okay, so with that, let's jump directly into the demo. So I've got my lab environment that's at home here set up, and I'm going to jump onto a Windows 10 box that's sitting on the environment here and open up a console. I've already got it opened up in a new lab tab here. And what I'm going to do first is log in as one of the users, and we call him Chewie Chewbacca. So it's a little bit of a Star Wars themed lab here. So I'll log in with credentials. And what I'm going to do first is actually resize this a little bit for you, just to make sure that everyone can properly see. There we go. And we'll keep those changes. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm going to log into our platform and verify that the user ID section is actually working. So I've logged into our PAN VM, and this is using the Flex Credit system to implement the different cloud delivered security subscriptions that you can see sort of listed here. And what I'm going to do is log on to the device section of here in the GUI and double check that the user ID section is being synced and connected in the device. And you can see here that the Microsoft domain controller and the read-only domain controller that it's replicating from, because you don't necessarily want to do that on a production, do this on a production domain controller, is actually replicating and connected to the virtual machine, NGFW itself. And you can see that it is. And just to do a quick verification of that, I've done an SSH session into this into the server as well. And I'm actually going to, the firewall, and I'm actually going to just verify that the state is being shared correctly between all of them. So I'll just go all the way down to the bottom here. Can verify down here that the credential information status is in sync, and the last digest that was received was about 4 seconds ago. So we're good on the device syncing and being ready to go. So the next section that we're actually going to go to is creating what we would call a custom URL category. And you can see here, what I'm going to do is go under the URL category on the side. And you can see that I've created one called custom phishing demo here. And if I look at what's actually contained within there, I just added both the domain that I'll be using for this demo, as well as the IP address of the server. This isn't necessary. It's just in case the DNS is not running on the lab for one reason or another. But this is just a custom URL that I'll show you. Doesn't have to be directly added into there. It can be unknown domains or a wide variety of different things that can be taken account right here. So that's the first things first, is creating that URL category. And then what we're actually doing is looking under the security profiles for URL filtering. And the default one for our demo here is basically adding it in to this section for URL filtering now. So I've added that in as the custom phishing demo, and I've set to alert on that as the first thing. And you can see that right here, custom phishing demo is just alert. And what I'm going to do as part of the demo is run that phishing campaign, and we'll show you that I can alert on it and then run it again, and we'll actually block it for the user. And that's going to be the what the demo is going to look like today. So what I've done in addition to this is I've actually gone in and added this into into the policies. And you can see I've created one called Credential Phishing Prevention, which is basically just outbound traffic coming from the user zone to the DAS zone. And it's using a specific portion of the domain users that is a group within the domain controller. And this is really just looking for credential phishing, and it's selected as SSL as well as web browsing. So we're decrypting here as well. And we're looking for known credentials that could be coming from any one of the people that are on there within that domain users group. So what I've actually done here is I've launched a tool that's from one of the other virtual machines, and I'll show you up here. This is the Linux virtual machine that I've got running as a Linux utility. And this is called GoPhish. And this is just a very common phishing campaign tool set that's used by many, phishing campaign folks that are trying to get credentials and such at scale. And I'll give you a little bit of a tour here. But what I'm going to do out of the gate is I've created the users and groups here, and I've got phishing recipients, and the phishing recipients are just an email address, dgoreskifish at gmail.com, just a temporary Gmail account that I've set up. We've got email templates. They've got a couple of automatic ones in here, but you can very easily customize to whatever you'd like. And I can show you just an example of one here. If I go into HTML, you can actually see what the page is going to look like here when I send this password reset out to the user, and what the password reset is actually going to be asking them for and look like. We look at the landing pages that they'll actually go on when they click that password reset link. I'm going to go into the landing page that I'm going to be using here, and it's just going to look like an imported site from a typical Outlook web page for doing an email reset for OWA. And you're just going to ask for an email address and a password, and you're actually selecting to capture the submitted data as well as capture the passwords. So that's the other piece I'm going to be using. And then the sending profile is just really the other email address that I've set up, which is the fished@gmail.com. And this is where it's actually sending it from. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a new campaign. And I'm going to call that campaign. Let's see here. What can I can call it Credential Phishing Demo. And I'm going to select the email template as Outlook Web Access email, a landing template as the Outlook Web Access landing page that I mentioned before. And I'll set the URL as a separate URL here. We'll set this as http://login.microsoft. And notice that this is actually the phishing URL, and I've replaced the I with another L. So this is a very common thing and common tactic that's used by someone doing a phishing campaign, is they'll click on this and it'll be redirected to the attacker site, which is exactly looking like what the page would be that they're expecting from the OWA password reset. And then I'm going to select the recipient groups, and that's the phishing recipients that I sent before. And this is how I'm going to launch it. And I'm basically just going to launch this now. Launch campaign. Launch. Campaign scheduled. And it's as simple as that. So the email's already been sent. And you can see if I go up to my dgoreskifish account from a Gmail perspective, I've got a new email that's located in there. And you can see this is a password reset. And you can be creative on the different names here and set the different email headers and that sort of thing in the tool as well. But for the purposes of today, I've just kept it simple. And you can see this is the password reset Outlook accounts and the example email that was sent in there. And if I go into the URL and I click to open that in a new tab, and I'm going to put my email address in here as well as my password. Sign in, and you can see the user at this point would very likely be confused and wondering what's going on. But in fact, it's actually submitted these credentials to this phishing campaign program. So you can see here that if I go back to the status page, it's actually showing that the email was sent, the email was opened, the link has been clicked, and they've actually submitted data. So if I go down to my data from the campaign and the submitted data, I can see all of the timeline that's gone on here and the submitted data and the interesting information about the Windows version, the Chrome version for the operating system, as well as the browser and the versions surrounding it. And then I've got the actual details. And this is the details of the credentials that were actually submitted. So if I go back over to, and it's that easy, to customize the pages and to get the credential information, and they can do this at scale to thousands and thousands of users should they want to do that. So if I go back into the firewall on the PAN side here, I can go to monitor and I'll go to the URL filtering category. And you can see that right here, there was an alert for what's going on with the web-based email here. And that's the log on to the microsoftonline.com. And you can see that it was just set to alert, and it's under the custom phishing demo. And it could be, it's basically just alerted on at this point. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go into the objects, go back to URL filtering, and select this as block, and block this phishing attempt. So I'm going to go ahead and commit this, but I'm going to pause the recording for a second so that we don't take up time doing that. Okay, so we're back and the commit has successfully completed and the configuration is committed. So what I'm going to do here is go back to my browser of my user, Chewy, and I'm going to go back to this password reset email again and show exactly what would happen once that once I blocked that action from happening. So we go back to this tab here and we submit the credentials. You're going to get this alert that specifically states that your administrator, your username or password submission to the page you're trying to access has been blocked in accordance with company policy. Please contact your system administrator if you believe this is an error. And it gives you the details about the user, the login, and you can see that the login contains the two L's opposed to the I in there. And you can see the category that was used in the firewall. And this means that it's actually blocked this from happening. So if we go back to the firewall and go to the monitor section and the URL filtering, you're going to have this custom phishing demo category that we built as well, the URL that's happened here, the users to the DAS zone, the source IP address that it came from, the source user, and the destination that I was going to. And this is the IP address that's been resolved from a DNS perspective. The application was web browsing, and the action was to block that URL. So that's the final portion of the demo today. So what I'll actually show you now is going back into the phishing app with GoFish. And what it actually shows you in the campaign is also a timeline. So you can see in the first timeline portion, the email was sent. I clicked the link and the data was submitted. And in this case, for the campaign timeline, this second portion here, the link was clicked, but there was no submitted data for this one. And you can also choose to block the link from being clicked, etc. But for the case of the demo, we decided to go this route. So in summary here, I just want to thank everybody very much for their time, and thank you for joining me today. And please feel free to reach out to me anytime with any questions, or to schedule deeper discussions, whiteboards, or demos on this or any other technologies, or if you'd like to discuss potentially evaluating one of our solutions. But otherwise, thank you very much, and have a great weekend.